Hey everyone, Mitch coming with the Commander Score Studio. Welcome to the show. So on today's episode, well, I'm sorry Wizards, but I'm gonna be letting you know that you messed up on these commanders. These commanders had so much potential, and you're like, no fun because we're Wizards. I mean, sorry Wizards, not always that way, but with these commanders in particular, this always stood out to me to being ones that like, they could have been so cool, they could have been so fun, and you're like, nope. Just no, I'm just gonna ruin the commander with just a couple of words on it. So with all that said, let's jump into it. First up, we've got one that always comes to my mind, and I was so disappointed when I saw this one because it had so much potential. I was reading, and then all of a sudden, Willow Dusk, no, why are those words on you? A 3/3 Dry Druid that costs 1 black green. Pay 1 tap, choose another target creature. Put a number of +1 counters on it equal to the amount of life you gain this turn or the amount of life you lost this turn, whichever is greater. Activate only as a sorcery. Wizards, why? Why do you have that text? That text is necessary sometimes on commanders that are overpowered, commanders that have powerful effects that are just like, yeah, you should probably not do that at instant speed, or commanders that have an effect that generally has, you know, the consequence of only being a sorcery effect, like maybe like a discard, okay? Like typically discard effects are, you know, only at sorcery speed for a reason. When it comes to this though, putting counters on something, there's no reason that should be sorcery speed. There's no reason. To me, this completely ruins the entire commander. I know that there's still players out there that love this commander, and that's completely fine. But I'm saying, to me, this just ruins the interesting aspects that could be happening with this commander because, hey, sure, you can just completely telegraph what you're doing with this commander, okay? You'd be like, okay, cool. So on my upkeep, I'm going to lose 20 life with Wall of Blood. And then I will pay 1 life, tap, and get counters on this creature. And now it's a huge creature. And then I will go to combat and swing. Versus like being able to just have your opponents having a just decision point where it's like, okay, I'm swinging, decide who you're blocking. And then they don't know who to block because, well, if they block this one, they block this one, they block this one. They don't know which one you're going to pump with this effect. It just has so much more potential, so much more cool things that you can do with it. And I mean, also just on an opponent's turn, this is an attack deterrent as well. Your opponent actually has to make the decision then like, okay, if I swing at this player and they've got 40 life or whatever, I can take them down 20 life. But if I do that, then they can activate this and get 20 counters on one of their creatures because I'm going to have them lose 20 life. So there's actually more decision points to it. There's more interesting things that you can do with it. And again, I think the card was just ruined. The commander was just ruined with that last text. And again, this would not be an overpowered commander. Again, I understand if it's an overpowered effect. This is not an overpowered effect. There was no reason to limit this commander in this way. And Wizards, shame on you for doing so because, well, there's other commanders that you didn't limit that definitely need limits. Moving on, Minx, Beloved Ranger. This one also was limited in a way that I do not like. 3/3 ETBs, make a 1/1, boo! Lovely. Legendary creature token with trample and haste. Pay X until end of turn. Target creature you control has base power known as XX becomes a giant in addition to other types. Activate as a sorcery. Again, that text is just terrible. That text just should never been invented. I mean, yes, okay, again, there are certain circumstances that need it. But for the most part, that text is just the bane of my existence because it takes out so many cool things that you can do with this. First up, again, this is just, sure, okay, we can be aggressive. We can attack with bigger creatures. Cool. Takes out any kind of effects where it's like, oh, okay, yeah, if an opponent's attacking me, I can then again, you know, maybe make one of my creatures large. Okay, I can play around with that on opponent's turns as well. It adds a different element to the game. It adds a different aspect to it. And also, hey, if an opponent is going to, like, insurrection my creatures, then I can instant speed turn my creatures into 0/0s. Take them all out. It gives you that opportunity to essentially have this commander also just be a, I was going to say one-sided board wipe, a sacrifice outlet, there we go, for yourself, not just on your turns, but your opponent's turns as well. Again, which can, again, if your opponent's going to gain control of your creatures, cool, make it so that that does not happen. So this had a lot more potential in mind. I still like the design of the commander, but again, this would not have been overpowered. The thing is, like, there are so many commanders where Wizard just slapped on thing after thing after thing after thing after thing to make it just a crazy good commander. And then there's other ones where it's like, oh, wait, no. I don't want them to have fun with this. So I'm going to put Activate on Sorcery. It did not need to have that limitation, Wizards. Moving on. Slimefoot and Squeak. A really cool commander, one that also did not need a limitation. ETBs or attacks should make a 1/1 sapling, pay 1 black, red, green, sacrifice sapling, return slime, put and screen up to one other target creature created with the battlefield, activate on sorcery. This one's just, again, why you can't just reanimate as a sorcery? Why can't you, or as an instant, why can't you? Like, why can't you have that kind of aspect where your opponent has to pay attention, has to ensure that, okay, I'm going to swing at this player, oh wait, they've got slime, put and screen in their graveyard, enough mana to activate that as sapling in play so they can get this other creature out of their graveyard, and they can just probably block more effectively. Why can't we have things like that? Why do you have to telegraph things more often and not have kind of more trick plays like this? It just adds a different element to the game when you can do things at instant speed, and yeah, it just kind of takes it away when you can't like this. And also with this one especially, hey, you really need some backup plans with this commander. You need to make sure that you've got ways to make saplings, because hey, if this commander's in your graveyard, and sure, you might have some saplings in play, and then your opponents deal with all your saplings, your commander might be just stuck in your graveyard because you don't have a sapling to sacrifice unless you've got other ways to make it. Your commander's just stuck there. So yeah, just putting on that activate only as a sorcery, just putting that on there, just tacking it on there, just kind of just, again, just takes away a really interesting aspect of this commander. And you're going to see that, well, yeah, unfortunately, Wizards just keeps doing this. Another one really quickly, another Reanimation Commander, Geth, Vein of Contracts. Commander doesn't really see a lot of play because it could be more impactful again. A 3/4 Phyrexian zombie for 3 mana, a creature control at -1/-1, so a slight downside to your team, right? There's your downside. Wizards, you already have your downside on this card. But wait, on top of that, 1 black tap, return to target creature from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains if this creature will leave the battlefield, exile instead of putting it anywhere else. Activate only as a sorcery. Why? Again, just being like, okay, I'll just telegraph what I'm doing by doing it on my turn. I can't just save mana up to ensure that I can do other things on my opponent's turns as well. I can't just surprise bring something in my graveyard to block or whatnot. No, I have to do it all on my turn. I've got to commit to this. And again, I already have that downside of, well, the creature is going to go away permanently if, I bring them back into play, which I'm fine with that. Also, the -1/-1, fine with that as well. But you know what, again, hey, Wizards, why? This commander already isn't, it's nowhere near overpowered. It's nowhere near pushed. And you're like, let's just hamper it further because, yeah. Moving on. Othorian, Hero of Lava Brink, a 3/3 human soldier for 3 and a red. This one's really fun in my opinion. Pay 1 red, tap, make a token of another target creature control against haste, sacrifice being a sunset, activate as only sorcery. There's 1. Number 2, 6 red, tap, create 5 tokens or copies of target creature, basically the exact same thing. Also activate only as a sorcery. Okay, Wizards, again, you just kind of take the luster out of certain things. You kind of just take the extra oomph that a commander can have, the extra push to make it better, the extra just reason for players to play a commander and to get excited about it. And again, yeah, there's some powerful things you can do with this one. It's not overpowered things, really, and your opponents wouldn't complain if you could do this instant speed. And again, you can do some more exciting things with it at instant speed. But no, you just had to slap that on. You just got a little slap happy with those activate only at sorcery speeds for some reason. Just over the past couple of years, you're like, oh, we solved the issues. Here, slap, 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 treasure, 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 slap, slap, slap. That just seems to be what Wizards is doing lately with all this text and treasures, apparently. Moving on. Tucasia, Dig Site, Mentor. I think this is the last time I'm bringing up with the activate only as a sorcery, because it's another one that surprised me that it has this. Creature control, vigilance, and tap, surveil 1. Pay 2, green, white, blue, exile it. And from your graveyard, return a number of target artifact cards, total mana value, 10 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, activate on the sorcery. Why only as sorcery speed? That cost is already a crazy amount. What are you going to be doing with a ton of artifacts your opponent's turns? You can do some more crazy things. You can do a lot of really cool things just on your opponent's turns, getting things back. It's just, it didn't need that restriction. You could have just allowed people to set themselves up and then do it before their turn so they can hold other things up in case they need to. But no, you have to commit like everything to this. I just don't understand. Again, like a commander that's not overpowered, a commander that wouldn't be overpowered with that. I think the question you need to ask yourself, Wizards, is would this be unfun if players could do this at instant speed? No. Would this be overpowered? No. Then why add this unnecessary text? It's not necessary. This commander did not need a limitation. What are you doing? Okay, speaking of limitations, let's move on to a different kind of limitation with Denick, Pious Apprentice, a 2/3 human soldier with lifelink that costs 2 mana. Cards in graveyards can't be targeted spells or abilities. Also, disturb cost. Let's see what the back says. Here we go. Denick, Pious Apparition, a 3/2 spirit soldier with flying. Whenever one or more creatures are put into graveyards and from anywhere, investigate the spell triggers only once each turn. Okay. You put a graveyard from anywhere, exile it. Triggers only once each turn is yet another kind of just save that Wizards has made lately. This is the other kind of limitation that Wizards is like, oh, we solved the issues. The problem was there were combos left and right, and we don't like that. We don't like when players have combos. Okay, there's plenty of ways to combo. That's not the issue. The issue is you're like, oh, well, yeah. Certain cards, yes, do need that limitation of only triggering once each turn. There are certain times where I'm like, yeah, thank goodness Wizards put that on there, because that would just be overpowered push. Is this commander anywhere near overpowered or pushed? No, this commander is terrible. This commander is garbage. I'm so sorry, Denick, but you are terrible and garbage. And even if they took off this Wizards once each turn, it would not be pushed. So, sure, whenever one of our cards creature cards put a grave from anywhere, investigate. There are so many other effects that are just like, hey, Revel in Riches, right? Oh, creatures opponents control die, you get treasures. Cool. Would you rather have a treasure or a clue? You'd rather have treasures. That already exists. That effect already exists. Yes, it's not on a commander, but there are plenty of other effects that are so much more powerful than this, and it already has that one or more limitation. That's even fine to keep on there. You already have that on there, so a board wipe only gives you one. What in the world, Wizards? Why did this need that? Where you like, oh, we tested it and it was far too powerful. Players are going to go all nuts about Denick and they're just going to keep playing this and it's going to go crazy. No, that wasn't the case. Why does it need this limitation? It doesn't. It would have been such a cool, interesting commander if you didn't have that players would actually play. But because you did that, no one plays it. No one will ever play it. If you have a Denick deck, good for you. But no one will ever play it. Moving on. Low Shield Clockwork Scholar. This one, especially because it's mono white, I want to point this out. 2/4 Elephant Artificer. Prevent all combat damage to be dealt to attacking artifact creatures you control. Cool. Whenever one or more artifact creatures have under control, draw a card. Spell triggers only once each turn. Why? Why once each turn? Why? Why does mono green get all the, hey, whenever creatures come into play, draw cards? Garrick's Pack Leader, Power 3 or greater. That's most of your cards. That other one that just came out, the enchantment that's like 3 green or whatnot. Sure, whenever any creature enters the battlefield that's got Power 3 or greater, you either get counters on if it's small or you get to draw cards. Why did this need a limitation? I was like, okay, you already have limitations. You already have one or more. Okay, so blink effects, like a giant mass blink effect, won't give you more than one. You also have artifact creatures, so that's specific just to that. And then you're like, no, it only triggers once each turn. Why? Why just once? Why just once? Was this mono white commander going to be too powerful if it was more than once? No. No, it wasn't. Wizards, what are you doing over there? What are you doing? Moving on. Mavinda Student's Advocate. This one's an interesting one. 2/3 Flying Bird Advisor. Pays 0. You may cast target instant sorcery card from your graveyard this turn. If that spell doesn't target a creature control, it costs 8 more to cast this way. If that spell, we put in your graveyard, exile instead. Act only once each turn. Okay, so this one's just like kind of weird in my opinion because that whole it costs 8, or it costs 8 more to cast if it's not targeting. That's just kind of weird. It pretty much is just like, no, you basically just need to be targeting your creature. It's kind of weird that they've included that. Regardless, only once each turn. Why? Is this card really going to be overpowerful? The card's getting exiled after your casting. Would this card really be overpowerful if you could do this more than once in a turn? No, it wouldn't. It would make it for a much more interesting commander than it is. More players would play around it. Again, mono white needs help. What are you doing? Why limit this further? Wizards, what are you doing? Finally, a commander that I thought was really cool, and I kept reading it. It kind of took it down a little bit. Donald, Herald of Wings, 3/3 Human Advisor, 2 blue. Whenever you cast a non-legendary creature spell flying, you may copy it, except the copy is a 1/1 spirit to other types. Do this only once each turn. Why? We already have other commanders out there that copy a ton of things. This already has limitations on it, right? Non-legendary. Cool. Creature with flying. Cool. Okay, so creature, flying, non-legendary deck. Cool. Awesome. Well, it's only a 1/1. It makes you a 1/1 spirit with flying. Why is that limited? Would that be overpowered? No, not at all. More powerful commanders already exist that have access to more colors that do something similar, like Volo. Volo, sure, has a restriction, yes, that you have to have like creatures that don't match each other, sure. But if you build your entire deck that non-matchy creatures, then there's plenty of great ones. You're in Simic, great, you just copy all of your creatures. This one's like, well, it has to be non-legendary, first of all. Second of all, yeah, you get a tinier version of it, a 1/1 flyer. And then also, yeah, you only do it once each turn. And unless you've got like Vidalcan Ori out or a lot of flash creatures in the deck that also fly, you're only doing it once each trip on the table, just on your turn. Why did this need a restriction? It would not have been overpowered. So many of these are literally like, again, Wizards, the questions that you should be asking yourself when you put these limitations are number 1, would it be unfun if I made the commander this way? Number 2, would it be overpowered? If the answer to either of those is or to both of those is no, then why are you throwing on these unnecessary restrictions of active only sorcerer speed and only once each turn triggers? Over the years, you've just been doing this more and more often, and it's just getting obnoxious because you kind of ruin what could be a great commander, in my opinion. One that many players out there be very excited about. Instead, you're like, no. Don't play those commanders. What you need to play are these commanders, which we did push and put no restrictions on, and you still do that. So you can't say like, well, we're trying to lower the power level of commander. You're not. You're definitely not, because you keep putting out overpowered push commanders. And then all of a sudden, you got these that aren't. Okay, time for me to get off my soapbox. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Well, what are your thoughts on these commanders that are like, activate only sorcery speed, or, only triggers only once each turn? What are your thoughts on these? Are there any that I didn't bring up that you think Wizards really messed up on? Or do you think that Wizards did mess up on these? Do you think that I should get off my soapbox and just let it be? So yeah, let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on all this. Of course, as always, thanks again, and have a good one. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. We also have a ton of brand new t-shirt designs in stock, so make sure you check out those as well. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all of their support.